everybody. Welcome once again to the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. We're happy to have you join us. And also joining us is Assistant Principal at CHS, Shane Russell. Sam, it's nice to have somebody you know.
Somebody we know.
That's right, somebody we know.
Familiar face.
Right, and somebody that can
all-around good guy.
Can straighten us out.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate being back on here. I've been around a little bit. You know, it's my 30th year, so.
Is that right?
I bleed Spartan red and white, and, you know, I've been around, so.
Where's the time gone?
I don't know. It just seemed like it was just a few years ago.
You must have started when you were about 10. A young-looking man.
Hey, I'll take that. I knew I liked you for a reason, Sam.
So year 30 for you.
Year 30 for me. I started in
That's great.
92, 93. My first year as an elementary PE teacher.
Okay.
Started coaching right then and been here ever since.
And the system has still survived. I mean,
I've survived a lot. Still here. I'm like a cockroach.
This is a sports program. We want to talk a little bit about sports. You can do that, can't you?
I sure can.
And of course, we have Sam, who is the sports excellent, and is going to tell us what happened with the Spartans on Saturday.
Spartans played well on Saturday, friend. At
Batesville game.
Batesville, nice new turf field down there at Batesville. I think it's pretty level. Before their field sloped to the north, but they put the new one in. Maybe it still does a little bit, but Spartans adapted to the new surroundings down there and got off to a little bit of a rough start. We've seen that about the last 3 games, but they were able to overcome that on Saturday and ended up tying it up at during the first period at 7 apiece and went on to win 27-13, 27-14 rather, 13-point margin. They missed 1 extra point, but by the time Batesville scored again in the 4th quarter, there just wasn't enough time for them to come back. Spartans held on and managed the clock very well, I think.
Good.
So I ended up on the regular season at 5-4, the first time since 2012 that they finished above 500 for the regular season. So I think there's a new attitude. There's just seems to be a new feeling with football, with the kids and with the coaching staff.
Winning record will do that for you.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
It gives you confidence.
We'll talk about it, I'm sure, more, but getting ready to go into the sectional, I like their chances of making it to the championship game. You got to play 1 game at a time, but certainly are capable.
Sure.
And that would be a big feather in the cap. And people always talk about building a program. Well, you start winning, and that builds a program because, you know, the guys down in the little Pee Wee League, they see their neighbors and their big brothers and all that playing varsity football and having success. They want to do that too. So I think that we keep winning. It'll just build upon itself from the ground up.
Well, that's the way you start a program. You don't start it when the juniors, sophomores, and juniors. You start early.
A lot of enthusiasm with this group of kids, and it filters down. Filters throughout the community. We talked about it on the radio a little bit on Saturday, that first time in years that during the regular season that we've seen the town decorated. It's kind of been decorated since August, and people with signs, businesses with Spartan football, that shield that they've come up with looks real nice, and that pumps the kids as well.
Sure.
And I think it's true though. We talk about Spartan Nation, and it's true with most sports here in town that the fan support, I think, is above and beyond most other schools in the area. I
think so. I mean, you can just tell by the fans that follow the team outside, Shane. I mean, they travel well with the kids.
Yeah, and you know, even in years where, you know, we've had down years, we still have good crowds.
Yes.
And you know, even though traditionally, you know, some years we've had some tough years in football, people follow our football team, and people, you know, are really supportive. And I think Coach Lynch has come in this year. He's done a really good job. He's from the community. He was on a successful football team. He's got assistant coaches that were part of that team as well. And he's really dug in and really got down in those youth leagues and coming in the hallways and asking kids to play. And we've got kids playing now that really haven't played football in a long time, but they're good athletes and they're big and they're strong and he's got them motivated. And you know, when you talk to these kids, they're like, you know, I love playing for Coach Lynch. So that's really helped as well.
Indeed, we've got 19 seniors though. Is this going to be a rebuilding year, I guess you call it?
And yes, we have to be realistic. You know, you got 19 seniors and a good senior class at that. You know, and if you look at all the sports around that they play, you know, pretty good. So we'll probably take a step back in success if you measure in wins, maybe. You know, who knows? But I think the program is going to be solid, and I think, like I said, from the ground up. From the youth leagues, I think we're going to be in good shape. I think so. Right.
They don't call it rebuilding anymore. They call it reloading, I think, is the word that they use, which is good. And
I like to think so. We, you know, we just got to, you know, keep working and keep supporting these guys and you know, and go out there and play hard.
How's the JV team doing in football?
Well, the JV team, they're kind of up and down a little bit. Not a lot of success as far as wins, losses, but even at that level, I've seen some kids that hadn't played before that are now playing that could help the varsity team next year, which, you know, when it comes to the junior varsity, you know, the record isn't always what you look at. It's a lot of times you look at with the skill building and the kids that are playing, and they get motivated and they get excited about playing, and then they can help you down the road. So I've seen some good things in that area.
What about middle school? How are they doing?
Middle school, the 7th grade has been pretty tough this year. They haven't had a lot of numbers out. They haven't had a lot of success in wins. The 8th grade has done pretty well. They've gotten some wins. So I think the future is bright there with 8th grade coming up for next year. So they've done a nice job.
That's great. Good news. For the coming Spartans.
I would think, talking about that junior varsity and the 17 seniors that we have, that should excite the guys down in the lower grades that there's going to be opportunity for them.
Sure.
There's going to be openings. There's going to be a lot of holes to fill. And if they work hard, hit the weight room, do the things, study the game, that they can get better and have an opportunity.
And you touched on a good point. It's, you know, players are made in the summer, and hopefully that this enthusiasm and, like you said, that motivation, thinking, you know what, there's going to be a spot there. I need to take it. If we get in the weight room and the spring workouts and the summer and hopefully that, you know, that will prepare us for the next season as well.
Do football players make good basketball players?
Well, you know what? I think that they do, and the reason why I say that is because you get used to that physicality of the game, and we all know if you think basketball is not a contact sport, then you haven't been watching basketball for the last 15, 20 years. Basketball is a contact sport. So kids that play football, you know, when they get out there and they got to set a screen or they got to get in there and get a rebound, it doesn't bother them because they're used to getting hit all the time. So I think the more sports that you can play will help you in any other sports that you play.
Sure. And coaches want to see that, too. They don't want the boys just to sit on the bench when they're not playing or anything. They want them to be participating in something.
And that is true. You see them participating in multiple sports. And, yes, coaches want them to work on their skills in the off season. So I know it becomes time-consuming, but you do want to see kids play other sports, you know. A lot of times when colleges come to look at a kid, the first thing that they'll ask is, what other sports does he play or she? So, you know, they actually look highly upon that. And the biggest thing, the worry is injuries. Of course, you can't predict injuries.
Right.
Some sports, it's more prevalent than others.
They happen.
They worry about that, as you should. But, you know, they do like to see a multi-sport athlete.
Yeah, you talk about injuries. You think about a year ago, Taco was hurt, Braxton was hurt, and they both come back and had great football seasons, and looking forward to basketball seasons for them as well.
Absolutely, and you know, especially today in the modern medical field, when you get an injury, they're a lot more equipped to deal with it, to rehab it, to fix it, and to help get back sooner. Nowadays, you get an injury, years ago, it could be career-ending.
Sure.
Now it's just a setback as long as they get in that rehab and they work hard and get the right treatments, and they're right back going.
Talk about the girls program. It's coming along at CHS.
Yes, I think Coach Harder's got them moving in the right direction. There's some good middle school. I believe they're freshmen this year, so there's a good class there that's got some talent there. So I think Coach Harder's got them moving in the right direction as well as there. I just wish we could get a little bit more size. When I first got to Connersville years ago, it seemed like every year we'd have a 6-footer or 5'10", 5'11" girl, and we're,
Well, she's the athletic director now.
She's the athletic, and we got used to that. And then about the last 20 years, that size has kind of dried up on us a little bit. So we've got to kind of go, win with other means, with more quickness and that.
Tryouts,
sort of thing.
Tryouts are this week, right?
Tryouts are today.
Today, and 17 days from today, this being Monday, they open up November 3rd against New Pal, and I tell you that that opening part of that schedule is a meat grinder for them.
It is, and
4 straight away games after the New Pal game, I believe. Yeah,
and tough opponents.
yes, they are. They're in a tournament of some kind early in the
A
season.
classic, I think. I'm not sure that
Shoot around or
up at
something.
Ritter, yeah.
Sure, it's with Indianapolis schools, Indianapolis area schools. But that's good for the girls,
Sure
I think, to start off like that.
Coach Harder, I believe this is her 4th season she's coming up on, so she's, over this period of time, she's tried to implement her style of play, and it's getting there. It really is. I've seen steady improvement every year, but it was a new system the kids had to learn.
It was, and that, whenever a coach comes in with a philosophy or a system, it's tough to just integrate that into that one team. It's something that kind of you have to build upon. You have to work on the different skill set for that particular system. Everybody kind of needs to be on the same page, and then of course you got to have the players too to run it. And once you get all those factors in play, then things kind of start running itself. Kind of like Coach Brown. Coach Brown's been here for a while. He's got a system implemented, and it's kind of like a well-oiled machine now, where you plug people in the right spots, and they're all doing their job, and and you've seen the results of what's happened with that over the last several years.
It's a coach's job to assess the students and the athletes, and decide which ones that they think can play their game and do the job. So that's kind of a tough thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a tough thing to do, because you're not just assessing their physical ability. Obviously, you got to have the physical tools.
Sure.
But you're also assessing their character. You're also assessing work ethic. Coming to practice all the time. Some of the little things that a lot of people don't realize that go into assessing the type of player that you want for your program. And it's not always an exact science, and there's a lot of gray areas there, but you try to get those players who have what we call heart. You hear the word heart a lot, and that want to get out there and want to grind and get better, and that's the key. Do you want to get better?
Sure.
And if you want to get better, you will get better.
Over the years, we've seen kids like that maybe didn't have the greatest athletic talent, but they had that drive and had that attitude and desire, and that can take you a long way.
And that can take you a long way. Now, don't get me wrong. You still got to have some. You still got some. Yeah. You need some physical ability. But if you have that heart, you've seen players who, you look at them just standing there and you wouldn't even think they're an athlete, but they can play because they have the skill and they have the work ethic, and that goes a long ways.
For girls basketball, volleyball is a great for the girls basketball, isn't it?
Yes, because it's a fall sport. It keeps you in shape. There's a lot of the same type of skills. There's a lot of lateral movement and agility, and of course there's a lot of jumping at the net.
Yes.
So it is a good sport. and having a little height doesn't hurt, in volleyball or basketball. So, but it is a good sport that help keeps you in shape for basketball.
The volleyball team is doing pretty good.
The volleyball team had a good season. It's over with now. They did get beat in the sectional.
Yes.
It was a very hard-fought game. But that's how it goes. Sometimes they played Franklin County, who they had beaten twice in the regular season, and fell to them in the sectional. But it's hard to beat the same team 3 times in a year. And
Sure.
It's just one of those things where that happens, and you regroup and you get ready for the next year.
I'm sure they'll do well when the season rolls around again.
I'm sure they will. I think the last couple of years they've been right around 500, maybe. A game or 2 under, a game or 2 over, I think. So, they're right there on the cusp. And, I just kind of said it, our height has dried up, and that helps you in volleyball too, to maybe have a 6-footer or two to kind of right there at the net. So, but you got to play the cards that you're dealt, and you just work hard and do the best you can.
Friday night, Richmond comes to Connersville for the football sectional, and the Spartans handled Richmond in the opening ball game of the season. Is that good or bad to have played a team already?
I think in this situation, I think it's good.
Okay.
There's at times it could be bad, but I think that we saw them early in the year. We kind of know what they have.
Yes.
The thing you got to avoid is to get overconfident, because we beat them pretty good, and you want to avoid that. We beat them pretty good, so we're going to do it again. You want to avoid that. But I think we know their tendencies. We know their style. We know their format. So I think in this situation, I think it's a good thing.
Okay.
Richmond has not won a game, so to me that makes them a dangerous team.
It definitely, because they'll come in with that mentality. We have nothing to lose, and of course, anytime we play Richmond, that's a rival game.
Yes.
And when they come in, we got nothing to lose. It's a rival game. It could be a trap game, so we've got to avoid being overconfident and avoid thinking that all we got to do is show up and win.
Even though they haven't won a ball game, they play a tough schedule.
They do. They play in the North Central Conference, and they play some tough opponents. A lot of bigger schools with a lot of athletes, and it makes it tough. And talent-wise, they're a little down from what we're used to seeing Richmond.
Yes.
And some years you're going to have that. And we took advantage of that, and hopefully we'll continue to take advantage of that coming up this Friday.
Hope so. Sam said they could be dangerous.
I think they could be very dangerous. They are down a little bit with the new transfer rules and all that. We've seen Centerville High School grow, and I think they've gotten some athletes out of Richmond Northeastern as well. I'm not sure that's a good thing. It may be from an academic standpoint, but from an athletic standpoint, I don't know that it's a real good thing to have that free and easy of transfer.
I'm not a big fan of it, but it is what it is. Those are the rules now, so we kind of have to live with it. And I was just talking to someone the other day. Back in the day when you played Richmond, you knew who you were going to play from year to year. Where they have these guys, they're sophomores, and these guys are juniors, and now they're seniors. Many times you'll go into next year and they'll have a completely different team, and you don't know who you're going to play. So I don't know. That's I kind of miss the tradition of who you're going to play, who they're going to have, and in the same way. But that's just not the world we live in anymore.
That's right. Things change.
That's true.
We couldn't have gotten a better draw, though, I think, when you look at the sectional pairings and what's in the other half of the bracket, state champion and being Mount Vernon, defending state champion, and New Pal being ranked #1. Things could have been a lot worse.
If you look at the seeding, or if not the seedings, if you look at the brackets, we got a pretty daggone good draw. Get to play at home our first game against the team with the worst record, and then if we win that, of course you hate to look ahead, but if you win that, our second round, 2 very beatable opponents, where the 2 heavy hitters, your New Pal and your Mount Vernon, are in that other bracket, so you wouldn't have to face the giant until you got to the championship game. So I would agree, Sam. We had a very good draw, and and I was very happy with that.
And to get to host again, I don't know, what, 10 out of the last 12
I
years
think
or something?
actually, I think that's pretty close. It's like 11 out of 13 or something. I remember at one point we hosted like eight or 9 years in a row, I believe.
That's good. We got a nice facility, and
We sure do, and you know,
good fan support, as we talked about.
I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing that we get to host and you know, and get to play in front of the home crowd, you know. Because a lot of times when you start getting in the sectional in your football, the weather turns, it gets a little colder. A lot of people don't go out as they normally would, and if they had to travel an hour, that would probably you know, hurt that. But as far as, you know, having it at home, you know, I think we'll have a pretty big crowd and ready to play well against Richmond.
The tickets are...
Tickets, they've raised them $1. They're now $7 for the sectional. Season tickets do not work for sectional, so you have to be prepared to pay it when you come in, because it's technically not a home game. I mean, it is a home game, but on paper it's not a home game. It's technically a neutral site, so that's why, you know, there's no concessions for home events and home amenities, I should say.
Yes, and it's 7 o'clock kickoff time.
7 o'clock, gates open at 6 o'clock, and hopefully we're ready to go.
Tickets at the ticket booth out there.
Tickets at the ticket booth, correct.
And they take cash.
They take cash.
Some places now will only let you get them online or ahead of time or whatever.
You know, that's funny you say that, you know, but, you know, we feel like we're joking when we say that, but really we're being serious. You know, some places don't take the cash anymore.
So when we move on, hopefully we can get that information if other sites require a different way of ticketing.
Absolutely. And I'll talk to Miss Van Meter and make sure that stuff is put out. And we hate to talk about it now because then you feel like you're jinxing yourself, but we'll make sure that gets out.
It doesn't hurt to plan ahead.
No, it does not hurt to plan ahead, that's for sure.
You might explain how the draw occurs and why we are successful in getting to host these ball games.
Well, technically it's just a random draw.
Right, and
they do it on that Sunday.
Start pulling names out. And to be honest with you, if you were to pull the law of averages of how many times we've hosted, it just wouldn't seem possible. But you know, I guess if you were in Vegas or something, it would be odds that you would definitely wouldn't go with. But I guess we'll take it. So it's the second team out that's always the host team.
It goes by where you're located on the bracket. So we were drawn second in our bracket on the first round. So if we were to win, we would go on the road from now on because we were at the top of the bracket.
Okay.
So anybody. So if you look at the bracket vertically, and if we're the second one, so we're hosting, and then if we were to move on, then we'd be on the top of the bracket every time. So we would be on the road. If we were to win a sectional championship, we'd have to win it on the road.
Okay. Well, they can do that.
Absolutely.
No stopping, huh, Sam?
No stopping. You don't know, though, until that game is played, who you're going to play the next game, so you don't know where you're going to go.
Sure.
If we do win, we know one of two places, either Newcastle or Beech Grove. And as far as I know, we've never been to Beech Grove for football.
I don't think so.
That I can remember.
Well, I know Beech Grove's pretty formidable this year. I think they beat Speedway this year, who, you know, took it to us pretty good. So
I understand,
you know, they're not bad.
Understand that they lost to Franklin County on Friday night, though. So
that's true.
Team that. So anything
can happen.
Anything can happen.
It's hard to predict.
And Newcastle's Newcastle. But back to Beech Grove, I believe they were defending 4A state champions in basketball last year. So we talked about athletes playing more than one sport. Usually, you know, if you've got that caliber of kids on one sport, many of them are going to play another one as well, as we already talked about. But so, the point I'm making is they're probably a pretty athletic team.
I would agree with that, and I went to the Speedway game, and they were pretty athletic as well. When we kind of spun our wheels there early and turned the ball over a couple times early, But once we fell behind, they were tough to stop because of their
Yes.
athleticism. They were quick, and just seemed to get to the outside. And talking, Beech Grove gave them what they can handle. So I'm going to assume that you're right, Sam, that they're going to have some pretty decent athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Should be an interesting weekend coming up.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Just, hope the weather holds out. We've been pretty fortunate.
Yes,
a few
we
sprinkles.
have.
We had a few sprinkles at Beech Grove, and seems like somewhere else, but no lightning delays or anything like
That's
that
right.
this year. It's been great.
It has been a successful season weather-wise. No complaints coming.
It really has. It really has.
Might as well continue on for a few weeks.
Just bring your sweaters, bring your blankets.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Beecher seats can get cool.
Yes, they can. Sitting there and the air blowing in under you.
It's true.
We're blessed, though, Fran, to be able to be in one of the nicest press boxes in the area. So.
Absolutely.
Or the nicest in the area, I will say that.
So.
Maybe
I think so.
other places have some pretty nice ones, but we've been to some that aren't so good either. Speedway, I know that they apologized all over themselves when we were there over their facilities, and they shouldn't. It's old, but
Sure.
but many times those old press boxes are pretty compact, and they're not used to having all the media. What it takes when TV3 goes somewhere, and all the equipment that they take, let alone the radio. And
Old and drafty, I think, are some of the press boxes.
yeah,
But it's good. The CHS has some good facilities, Shane.
Yeah, we do, and they're improving annually. It seems like if you
Right.
go, if you go back to look to where our facilities were, even as much as even as short as 5 years ago, to what we look like with the new soccer field, the surface and the press box there, and for soccer, the new softball fields.
Yes.
And I say that plural because the one was turned around and it's new now. There's been things that's been updated. Now we still got a little ways to go. We still need another baseball field and some things. And of course we've got new lights there on the football field. Got lights
terrific.
now on the soccer field
Yes.
and the softball field. So I think things are moving in the right direction, and,
But there's
and we're happy with it.
nothing like Spartan Bowl.
Spartan Bowl, that's, it was voted number one
Voted the
place
best.
to watch a basketball game, and you know what? It's hard to argue with that. It
That's
really
a
is.
Cadillac
it's just,
Gyms.
and as an outsider, when I say outsider, I wasn't born in Connorsville, and I went to a different high school, and my experience with Spartan Bowls when I was in 7th grade and
Okay.
8th grade. I went to South Ripley, and we'd won our sectional, and that was when it was one class system. So we came to Connorsville to play in the regional,
Sure.
and I could just remember just in awe then. But then as I come here as an educator and a coach, you kind of take it for granted after a while because it is so nice, and until you go somewhere else, and then you realize, we got it pretty good.
and
So,
for it to be over 60 years old. It truly is the Grand Palace on Grand.
it is a grand. It is amazing.
Been well maintained, and it could go for another 60, right, Sam?
Yeah, it better. It better.
We've got that new floor in there now, so that should be good to go for
Beautiful.
quite a while.
Yeah.
And there's still different things that are being put in that, and I'm not sure if it's put in yet, but I know it's scheduled to be. Is air conditioning is going to be put in the bowl. So when you go to those graduations and
yes,
things,
that'll be great
it's
for
really
graduation.
hot. That's going to be good, and Wi-Fi,
And summer leagues and all that with basketball. would be
Absolutely,
great.
and that gets how stuffy it can get in there. It can get pretty stuffy in there. So the improvements are all around.
Connorsville's very fortunate.
We are very fortunate, and with the support of the community that we have for our athletics, that's where it all starts. When you have that support, then you can get some of those things accomplished because then people are in your corner and really wanting that to happen.
Shane, we can't thank you enough for joining us on tonight's program, and we really appreciate you
Well, I
stopping by.
appreciate, I want to take a second to tell you how much I appreciate you, Fran, and you guys just do a fantastic
Thank you.
job, and your enthusiasm, and years go by, and you're just as enthusiastic now as you ever were. So we appreciate what both you guys do. Sam, you guys just do a great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shane, and thanks everybody for watching this edition of the Spartan Sports Report here on TV3. Have a nice evening.